This is Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love for September 2018. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm here in Boston, and joining me as always is Musim.
Hey.
And Mina.
Hi.
Let's just dive right into it. Musim, what have you been playing this past month?
Well, it's been back and forth. So I'll start with kind of the newest thing that oldest thing I've been playing. They released the Bard's Tale Legacy, the first game. It's a remake of the first game that was, the 1986 game.
Oh, cool.
So I started and beat that. According to Steam, it took me about 8 hours. I guarantee you at least 1 or 2 of those hours were pause. But that game is 1,000 times easier with an auto map and the ability to save.
Right. That's cool. That's really cool. They added the auto mapping.
It's it's not. It's there's still some. I don't know. I guess there's minor gripes with everything, but you can adjust the if you so the Bard's Tale UI screen, you have a big block on the bottom for your party. Then you have a little square in the top left corner for the dungeon you're going through, and then to the right is a bunch of text that tells you what's happening, during battle. So the auto map is in the little square with the dungeon image on it.
Oh.
So it's kind of a weird placement, but they have an alpha you can adjust. So I just made mine real bright, and it auto notes whenever you step onto a spinner or a trap or something like that, so you can see it in the future. They also let you have up to 7 members in your party, which, Bard's Tale 2 and 3 allowed 7 members. Bard's Tale 1 used to just be restricted to 6 members in a space. But the other weird thing about playing through it this time is I learned some things about it that I didn't know before, because I listened to that Retronauts podcast you sent me, where they talked about it, and I can't remember who gave the most out of it, but I did not know that you refilled Bard songs by going to the bar, because I never used a Bard and almost never refilled the songs. But I used a Bard this time, and they have some pretty nice things, like an auto heal song that you could just kind of leave on and just randomly heal a few hit points every few steps, which is pretty invaluable, I think, especially early on. They made a lot of the battles in the game just one-shot deals where you can't repeat them. Which kind of destroyed my grinding strategy that I originally used. Because, they used to have this big battle in the castle in the game where you fought 4 groups of 99 berserkers. And there's a couple spells your mages can get called Mangar's Mind Blade that attacks every member and every group in front of you for 10 to 40 damage or something like that. And so you just go in with 2 casters that can do that spell and wipe them out and get a massive amount of experience. And that was not an option. So I had to actually just wander around a Mangar's castle near the end and grind that out.
That's surprising they would it's surprising to me that they would care enough about that after decades to change something like that. It seems odd.
Honestly, the whole remake story is kind of weird, because the company that was originally going to do it, either they parted ways with Inzile midway through it, and then they hired this new company to do it, which I gather has only been working on it for half a year or so. Because they only released the first game. The second and third game, I guess, will come later this year or something. But they made a lot of weird changes like that. Like there are all these statues around town. Like that. Okay, so the premise of Bard's Tale 1 is Mangar, an evil wizard mage guy, has trapped the town of Scarbray, and is started putting it into a winter, and there are monsters on the streets, and he put these statues around town to keep the people down, right? Mm-hmm. And in the original game, you could just go fight the statues repeatedly. It was a really good way to get experience without going into a dungeon early on. But now, like, you fight the statue once and it's gone.
Weird.
And I don't know, like, I complained about it on Twitter, and the company who did it, like, said, oh, well, maybe you will like the legacy mode better, where they're, I guess, gonna make it almost exactly like the original or something.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, well, I kind of want the save and auto mapping with repeatable fights. Like,
right.
It's really what I want most out of it, but I don't know. I got through the game. My guys aren't as high level as they normally would be transferring to Bard's Tale 2, but I'll live, and maybe that legacy mode they give me, I'll be able to use the same characters and import them over. But
yeah, interesting.
Like it's really like they redid all the graphics in that game, and
wow.
Like all the UI and control schemes, and like it used to be, when you cast a spell, like that was part of the copy protections. You had to have the book that told you the 4-letter code for it.
Right.
Well, now, like, you click cast spell, and then it presents you with a list. And the other cool thing is, like, you can just start typing, and it'll filter out the list for what spell you're looking for.
Oh, cool.
And it still recognizes the old codes, which my fingers just have, like, seared into them from doing it so much. But
that's smart.
Anyway, so I like the game a lot. It's weird. They had a note about I was just looking through my notes. This one's kind of irrelevant, but towards the beginning, I thought they were going to allow me to get to Archmage in this one, which was not originally there, because they had a weird tooltip about getting into an Archmage in one of the houses. But I maxed out my mages, and that was not an option. Actually, to unpack that, because I realized that probably made no sense. In Bard's Tale, there are 4 mage classes in the first game and a 5th one in the second game. And the mages are allowed to change classes as they max out the spells in that class.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay.
So, and that's part of their like design doc for the new Bard's Tale 4s. They want more of a class tree type system like that for all the classes. But anyway, so I beat that. Played a bit more Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, and got to Chapter 5, beat what, in my opinion, should have been the boss of the entire game, and then it wants me to go, like, I kind of just came to terms, I'm going to have to sink another 10 to 15 hours to beat this game. I'm just going to shelve it for now. Like, I'm really tired of playing it.
Oh, yeah. No, I just started it. I just started it. No, really. I've recorded 2 episodes. I haven't put them up yet on my YouTube channel, but I have recorded 2 episodes. So,
I think it's really charming. I just like part of it is also that I've been playing it on Switch, and I made the mistake of looking at screenshots from the Xbox One and PS4.
Oh no!
And this is graphically a straight up bad Switch port. I've just come to terms with it.
Oh, no, that's the one that I bought.
Oh no! Don't look up the videos for the other systems.
Yeah.
No.
Like, ignorance is bliss here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's like I still really love the game. Like the main story doesn't actually kick in until like Chapter 4 or something like that.
I have no idea what chapter I'm at the very beginning. I know I'm 2 episodes. I definitely haven't.
Yeah, it's like 40 hours into the game.
Oh, wow.
Like you're just suddenly like, oh, I'm building my little village and doing this, and I want to go back to building my village. Why are you having me?
Right.
Okay.
I want to do this other stuff.
And like in its defense, it's really just paced poorly with that. I don't think the story for that's bad by any means. I think also, a part of it is I was really wanting to be lazy with the game, and it's not a thing. But overall, I don't regret my time with the game. I still like it a lot. I will probably go back to it. I've realized I have reached my current limit on it, because it's almost like, aside from Bard's Tale, it is almost all I've played the last month.
Yeah.
And I'm just beating Bard's Tale felt so good. I was like, I need to find a short, concise game to play.
Right.
Which doesn't really exist in my collection. I decided, I knew it was a mistake when I plugged it in, but I plugged in Shining Resonance and played through the intro of that. That is surprisingly similar in gameplay-wise to Ys 8.
Oh, no.
So Shining Resonance, if you're not familiar with it, is part of the Shining series, Shining Force type series. I hate calling it even a series. Like, it's as much of a series as Final Fantasy is. They have...
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one's theme is you have a bunch of characters who... Like, I guess there was a great dragon waiting in the past, and he granted all these people abilities to be Dragoneers, which I guess means you play an instrument. Like a musical instrument.
Okay.
So all the weapons in the game double as musical instruments.
Interesting.
And it's... I think I'm going to like it, but I'm not ready to play it right now.
Right. You need something like totally palate cleansing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then enter the PS Plus game for this month, Destiny 2. Which I started.
Is that the PS Plus game?
It's one of the... It was actually a bonus, so there's 3 PS4 games this month. Pro tip for anyone that is playing Destiny 2 on PS4 with a disc version, you can also download this. You can go redeem it and then delete your disc install version and then re-download it digitally, so you don't need the disc anymore.
Cool. Yeah. Well, and I'm debating on whether I'm getting the expansion or not. Like, I feel like I should just go ahead and do it since it's just $20, but I am... So where I'm at in Destiny 2, I just got to Titan. Literally before this episode. Like, one of the things that Destiny 2's done that I like so far is the missions only take like 15 minutes to do or something like that.
Yep.
It's not the half hour to 45 minute to hour and a half commitment that like old Destiny was.
Yeah, and if they have missions like that, they like split it up into 2 or 3 on the same planet, so you can just like dip out in between missions. And that's kind of nice.
Well, I really like that. And this one just took a little bit longer than I thought, but it's I've really kind of done a flip. Like, when I started playing it, I was holding against it everything I wanted it to be.
Right. Right.
And once I got over all of that stuff, then you know what? It's a competent shooter. Like, it's got a really kind of emotionally stirring soundtrack that I wish they paced with the game better.
Yeah, it's sort of weird because like there's the soundtrack and then there's the Kronos Quartet stuff that's at the beginning with all the string quartet stuff. And it's like, oh boy, this is real good.
Oh yeah, well, and like that beginning occurs and like you're walking along the mountain and you know doing the trek they have you do at the beginning.
Yeah,
and that strings are going. I'm like, man, they're laying on thick at the beginning, aren't they?
They're going all in.
Oh yeah. Part of me still is like, man, how epic would it have been if they had just treated Destiny like a normal online game and just you bought the Destiny 2 DLC and suddenly like you're in your Destiny 1 game and then they inflict that intro on you.
Yeah, like some World of Warcraft stuff where it's like, I went back to the tower. Oh no, everything went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that would have been super, super freaking cool. And like the other thing I kind of wish they did, and I realized it just a couple hours ago. Why can't, like, I get why you wouldn't want any of the player characters to be the Hive, but why not let you be one of the other races? Like, why do all the enemy races? Like, why do all the enemies have to be, like, entirely race-based? Like, why can't one of them...
There's a lore reason. Basically, the reason that... I'll go into it just very briefly. The reason that all of the other races don't like you is because at some point, the Traveler, that big glowing ball thing, had visited them and sort of, like, give them a little bit of the light, and then said, like, no, thank you. Like, I'm just going to see you guys later. And then it left, and eventually bestowed upon humanity, like the Exos and the Awoken and the humans, the light, and then sort of stuck around. So everyone's sort of jealous that the Traveler chose humanity as opposed to everybody else.
Gotcha.
I had like this mental image that the Traveler was like this. I don't know how to describe like this sort of guy in my imagination,
just
but
like a dude,
just like a really awful dude who's like just terrible, and all of the other races are like this girl or whatever.
It's like your hero in a Fallout game where it's like, he just bombed our village. He's the worst. and then he just left.
He shows up to like one of the villages and he's like, "Hey, I like you guys.
Hey, what are you guys all about?"
And everyone else is like, "That dude sucks. What?"
Yeah, don't talk to him. He's the worst.
I don't know why. Like, I'm just picturing Norm Macdonald in this role.
I mean, that would be a good casting. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't even do an impression. Yeah.
Sorry. Your description of what happened, that was what was going on in my mind.
Just this guy going from town to town being, "Hey, what are you guys about? Ah, you guys suck. See you later."
Like, he's kind of nice to them at first. I'm like, oh, he might be nice to us. And then he's suddenly a jerk, and everyone's like, man, that guy sucks.
Right, yeah.
I hate that
this
guy.
Sucks. Yeah. Oh, man.
So, I'll tell you one other thing that threw me a loop for Destiny 2 was figuring out where it wanted me to look. It took me a while to get in sync with the UI again, because it's been a few years since I played the first one. So, like, I'd played that intro mission during the beta before. Mm-hmm. I think I literally missed every single cue it wanted me to look at.
That intro mission is so bad, too, because it's like, oh, Ikora's going to do something cool all the way off on the left-hand side, and it's like, I missed it. It was probably cool, but she did something.
Yeah. And that's, like, I wish all the NPCs in that intro, like, adhered to player mechanics. Like, at one point, I don't remember the name. Maybe it is Cora. Like, I think it's the Warlock chick.
Yeah,
like,
Cora.
She jumps on like a plane and starts beating it down. And,
yeah, it's super cool.
And maybe they let you eventually do that in Destiny 2.
They do. It's really cool.
Oh, man.
If you can get close enough to those planes, you can totally space magic them.
Oh, that immediately makes me more endeared to this game.
Yeah, it's because I saw it and thought,
you aren't going to let me do that.
Right. And, no, what's actually really interesting about that intro is, for all three, Zavala, Ikora, and Cade, they're all using their actual skills that you get in your talent trees. Like, Cade uses Golden Gun, Zavala uses the Ward of Dawn, the Bubble. So it's all stuff you can do, which I thought was nice. Instead of like, man, this guy's doing some cool stuff. I never got to be that cool.
Yeah. I like how they almost immediately give you all your jumps and grenades in that game too.
Thank goodness.
I was like, I kind of didn't even notice when it was giving me points and opened up that screen. I'm like, oh, I got a bunch of points. Oh, I can literally get all the versions of my grenade and double jumps. So.
It's much nicer. And whenever you get your other subclasses, they unlock the whole thing at the beginning. So if you have leftover points, you can just start unlocking that completely.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so much better than the first game. I mean, I miss the skill trees from the first game, but not how you unlocked them.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all. And I like that. I mean, you do start out with your... Is that a light level for your armor stuff? That is a light level, isn't it?
Yeah, they call it power level now, but everyone calls it light level.
Okay. I mean, you have your power level and then your regular level, and I gathered the only purpose of your regular level is to restrict equipment.
Yes, yeah. And restrict... For the campaign, it's really used as a watermark of, like, hey, to do this mission, you really should be level 11 or power level, 200 something. Like, it's a good watermark, but beyond that, at some point you'll be level 40 and then your power level, light level is the only thing that really matters.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it so far. I played it a bunch last night. I played it today. It's not the short game I want, but it's the nice, simple point and shoot type game with some cool powers. And my powers seem to be able to I feel like I can use them more often in Destiny 2. I don't know if that's factually true.
They changed that in the Go Faster update, because Destiny 2, when it launched, was way slower than Destiny 1, especially in the skills and super. And they sort of supercharged that. So, like, you get them back easily twice as fast as you were able to before.
So I entered this at the right point, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, because, like, the big 2.0, the only thing I had to talk about it with Destiny is the big 2.0 patch that just came out this past Tuesday in preparation for Forsaken coming out next Tuesday. They completely changed everything in the game from top to bottom, and that's not an exaggeration. So you hopped in at the exact right point, because stuff is faster and better. The new weapon system is live now, so you can sort of slot weapons wherever you want to now, which is really great. Like, yesterday I was playing for a little bit, and I got a sniper rifle that sits in my first slot, which is really fun. So yeah, you joined at the right time, which is the 2.0 patch, now that everything is totally different. So
cool.
Yeah. And if you want someone to hang around with in Destiny, I'm probably playing Destiny at any point. And if you want to play Destiny, I will just fire it up.
I am down. I am probably going to focus on the story stuff for a while, at least until I get to, I assume it's level 15 or 20 or something like that, where I can really start using legendary and getting a bunch of exotics and stuff.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close to getting your first exotic. They give you one through just the storyline.
I did get that.
Oh, okay, cool. And I think like level 20 is when you start seeing legendaries drop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and like they...
Oh, go ahead.
They have that, like, in that area on Earth that you go. I don't remember the name of it, but they have
EDZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the faction guy there who sounds exactly like Alex Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
And
he's Devrim K. He's Balthair. Bless you.
Yeah.
He's Balthair from Final Fantasy 12.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why he sounds so familiar, because I keep being like, oh yeah. And he was an NPC in Destiny 1.
Gotcha. Well, and I gave him a bunch of coins and unlocked a gift from him, but I couldn't get it because I wasn't high enough level, so I thought,
that stuff doesn't matter until you basically finish the story.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Man, Destiny 2.
Well, and that's all I've been playing, and I'm going to talk about this month.
All right, Mina, how about you?
So we already kind of breezed over Ysade, and I don't really want to talk about it because I feel like
early days.
It's there's not that much. I think it's everything that I know about the game is kind of what you would learn from just looking probably at the back cover of the game. I've recruited a couple of characters, and that's it. So instead, I'm going to talk about the game that I just remembered that I played, which was Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully I said that right. So I started playing that one again, but this time I'm starting over from the very beginning, so that way, because I want to do the Let's Play for it, because I feel like whenever I do a Let's Play, I'm committed to beating the game. Not because of me anymore. It's not like, hey, I need to complete the game for me. It's more like, okay, there are people other than me that are now invested in my story, and I need to beat it. The one thing I am going to do, though, once I catch up to the part where I am in the story with my original file, I'm switching right over to that file.
Let's say you are not going to pull Cosmos again.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never pull Cosmos again off of the first thing. I mean, it's...
If you do, then like you need to go out and buy a bunch of lottery tickets.
I have spent literally hundreds of that stupid currency trying to... Like, Cosmos is one of the... Well, I guess there are like 10 now that I don't have, but it used to be like one of the 2 that I never got.
Oh,
well, I've talked to like a couple of my friends about the game, and a lot of them talk about how they're on their second playthrough of the game. I guess that you can do a New Game Plus or whatever, and they're like, I still haven't pulled Cosmos. And I'm like, and I've put 400 hours into this game, and I'm like, I'm gonna jump over to my original file.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't want to do that.
Like, if you look into Cosmos grinding, like, it's all about how do you get your character's luck stat to max out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to pull, and you have to use the right, I forget what it is. Like, there's literally a 0.1% chance of pulling Cosmos. So
yeah, it's pretty bad because, well, the thing is to my understanding, like, each character should fall into a category of these elements or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know I'm not a professional at this, but Cosmos is a light elemental, which you can't really donate points into getting a light elemental character, which is why she's like so tiny in percentile of pulling.
I think you can. I think there's a light dark material.
You have to. There is a dark material. There's no light material. So you have to do like an even distribution across the board or something like that, I guess.
Interesting.
Which makes it so that way you're not leaning too heavily into any color to like whatever it is.
Some crazy math.
I read about it, and that's the reason why Cosmos' percentage is ridiculous. Because she's like the only light that you pull or something like that. Or she's like, or whatever. Anyways, so I haven't gotten too far in that one. I think I got to the part where... Oh, I know where I got to I remember where I ended. I ended with Tora, where you first get to Tora's house and his voice. Oh, I'm like, welcome back, Tora. Welcome back. I forgot about you.
Yeah.
Oh, if there was anything that I could say and I don't know if there is a way to do this, if there's a way to like make the characters talk less in battle, just like drop their conversational things down to zero, like
if only.
With the power of friendship.
Yeah.
And even that one doesn't bother me so much. It's just that, like, if I have to hear meh, 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 like, if I have to hear that again,
it's Rhyme time.
Oh, Rhyme time was kind of funny, though.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't play that game enough to experience if that gets bad.
If it came back on you.
Yeah, like it was funny to me, so I didn't get angry at it. But then again, I never recruited. See, here's how far I got into Xenoblade Chronicles, so you'll know how far I didn't get. I got to where you recruited the sniper chick.
Oh yeah, okay, boy, it's been a while.
Yeah, like your official third character, but I didn't officially recruit her 100% because there was a boss fight that you have to do. That I imagine solidifies her. Yeah, I'm joining the team forever because the only reason why she was joining your team was for a temporary reason because something went down. So that's where I quit playing that game. So we know that I did not get far.
Right.
So I don't really have too much to say about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so I'm just going to move on from there. The next game that I played is Trails in the Sky.
Oh wow.
So
jealous.
I've been super recommended to play this game. I really don't think I can assess too much from the game because I feel like with every really good JRPG, they have to really drag out that intro.
Yeah, and boy does that game. I didn't make it past the intro because it's slow.
It is very slow, and I'm like, man, I hope people that really want to see a Let's Play of this, that they like me, will endure this very slow intro, because I have a feeling it's like not just a tutorial, but it's really wanting to explain the world. It really wants to explain like every little thing that's going on. It's throwing in
every person in the town.
Yeah, so it's very, very slow, and but everyone that I've ever known who has like, you know, really beaten the game and got on to the next ones, they always say like the series is great, you know, just, you know, play it, and I'm like, I will, but this is definitely a game that I have to do again as a Let's Play because I could totally see myself just checking out. Well, but I'm not gonna. What
I've always heard from people too is like they do such a long intro in the first game and then never do anything like that again for like the whole trilogy. So it's like as soon as game 2 starts, it hits the ground running, and like game 3, you already know all this stuff. So like it keeps on moving.
Right. So I'm forgiving it for its very slow start because I'm hoping that like it's just giving me all this groundwork so that way later on when they mention things, it's like, oh yeah, I remember them talking about that. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm hoping for. Game seems pretty good so far. but I really can't suss out too much. The combat it reminds me of a couple of other games' combats, but it's nice. It's nothing like too crazy awesome or anything, but it's
solid.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going past that, Ni no Kuni 2, I really don't have too much to talk about, except that I know that I am on the final chapter. Like, I just opened the door to the final chapter.
Okay.
Or something like that. I must be at the very end. I know that.
It's pretty clear when you get to the end, both like storyline wise and like dungeon design wise. Because I feel like the Ni no Kuni games are very good about like, you know, I don't remember what the ending of that game is, so I'm not going to spoil anything. But like, here's a castle and it's like dripping with darkness, and it's like, or that's the final dungeon. Okay. Like,
yeah. Well, I'll say this: like, it put its foot down. Like, crazy stuff happened. And there's a clear change in the world, and there's a clear monster castle thing on the map that it's like
Castle Dark Death.
and then there's like beams of light everywhere, and you're like, okay, so that's the ending right there. So I think right now what I'm doing in the game is basically trying to round up like some XP, trying to like clear off anything else that I have remaining.
I think you can go back into the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I know that has to be a thing because Ricky, who responded to me on the while I was streaming, told me that I can't collect enough people to make the stage 4 of the town or whatever, castle 4, level 4 or whatever, until I beat the game. Like, there's no way.
Right. Yeah, they open up a whole bunch of stuff once you. It basically, like, you finish the game, it's like, oh, do you want to save your save file? And you do, and you load that back up, and you're at the save point, like, right outside the final boss, and then you can just fast travel to anywhere, and it opens up a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, all across the world. I forgot about that, yeah.
So, I'm not too hardcore about, like, getting everything done now, but I do know that I'm needing some XP, so it's like, I might as well do some hopping around.
And the final boss isn't too hard, so if you're a little underleveled, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. The game gives you a little bit of a helping hand at the end.
I did lower the difficulty for the boss fight of the chapter. And it's not a spoiler who this boss fight is, because you should know within the first hour of playing the game that you're going to have to do this boss fight eventually. But anyways, that particular boss fight, I mean, I had it at the max difficulty because they changed the difficulties of Ni no Kuni 2. They included like the super hard one. And I've been enjoying the super hard difficulty, but I got it to that boss fight, and I think he just one-shot me.
Where he's like air juggling you. It's like, wait a minute.
I was like, I'm just going to drop the difficulty back and win this fight. So, because the hard difficulty is actually really rewarding. This is the type of hard difficulty that I like, that the fights get really hard, but you also get really good rewards.
Yeah, they changed that in one of the patches, and I thought that was a great idea. Instead of like, they have 5 times more HP, and that's it. Yeah, so it really feels rewarding to put it on the hardest difficulty and beat things, because it almost feels like every encounter I'm guaranteed like purple loot. Like, nice. So
purple and red loot. Like, it's almost, I would say it's 100% guarantee every encounter will drop something.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you really get outfitted real quick, and you get more XP, it feels like. So I don't know, like, putting it on the hardest difficulty just feels really good. So
yeah.
But I dropped it down for boss fights. Like, forget that.
That was one of my criticisms of the launch game, was there was really only one difficulty, and it was way too easy. Too easy. Yeah.
I complained about that too. I had 2 complaints. I remember my second complaint. One was the game felt way, way, way too easy, which is, okay, but for someone who's really used to like playing really like max level Tales games, like this is far too easy. Like, I feel like I'm falling asleep. But the other complaint, and I still have it to this day, is that like they'll have those bottom dialogues, like these little text boxes that pop
up. Right.
And it's just sprinting through those conversations.
I feel like they're never going to fix that at this point.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
because I want to sit and enjoy your little conversations. I like those things. It's my favorite part of Mass Effect.
Right.
You know? So, like, just
But
let
the
me
Micro
read.
Machines man is talking in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, everything's just like blah, 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 blah. And even if I tried to speak it out as fast as possible, it is way too fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ni no Kuni 2, still really good. Still recommend it. I recommend it even more now with the difficulty options.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also changed the you know how you were telling me how the little skirmishes, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I think they're called skirmishes.
Like the army battles.
Yeah. So they've changed it now. If you haven't done one before, it's like a gold color, and if you have done it, it turns to blue flags.
Oh.
Yeah, so
What a huge change.
when you told me that, like, if you repeat them over again, it becomes harder to track, I was like, oh no, he's right.
Yeah.
Because, like, I repeated so many of them, and, like, I was like thinking, I'll have a nightmare trying to remember which skirmishes I did or did not do.
I had an Excel spreadsheet I was crossing stuff out on. Like, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, and I was going to have to do that too. And then, like, I saw that there were some gold ones on the map because I recently loaded up the game to play it. And I was like, what's the difference between gold and blue? Is it, like, story and not story? So then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, no. Gold means I haven't done it yet.
Oh, that's such a huge change. That's awesome.
So, yeah, that's something awesome. This only makes Ni no Kuni 2 better.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the other game I played, and Kingdom Hearts. I've
been watching your struggles on Twitter. Kingdom Hearts.
So, I hated Tarzan's land, like, entirely. That was so awful. And I got to Monstro, and Monstro's fine. Monstro was absolutely fine. Like, I think it was really confusing the way the map looks, but they've, like, every hallway has appropriate number, and, like, maybe I just got lucky and I went to the right zone. Like, I don't know. But that one was fine. I had no problems. And then I went back and did some Winnie the Pooh stuff. I still hate Winnie the Pooh.
Is that a mini game in the first one?
It's all mini games. It's all mini games. Like, and I still hate, like, I've never liked Winnie the Pooh as a kid. I always hated that character. Yeah. He upset me so much because Rabbit was such a good character. He was, like, hardworking. He did all kinds of, like, you know, he was hustling every day. He's a nice dude. And then, like, you've got Pooh walking in there stealing his stuff, and, like, Rabbit's just, like, having a meltdown where he's like, I'm working, and why are you taking my stuff? And it upset me, like, very greatly. I could not watch that show. It troubled me so much, and I hated that character.
And now Kingdom Hearts is dredging these memories.
And he does the same thing, and I'm getting equally upset. I'm like, he already said that he doesn't have any honey. Why are you eating the last bit that he had stowed away?
Rabbit's just trying to make a living, man.
Oh, and then Tigger shows up, and I equally am upset with him. And he's just like, let me stomp on all of Rabbit's carrots so that way they go into the ground and he can no longer retrieve them. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you being
You guys are terrible friends.
Oh.
Rabbit, just leave.
So, anyways, finished Winnie the Pooh's area, which, you know, was stressful because I get upset at the thought of why am I helping Pooh? Anyways, so we leave there and we go to Atlantica.
Oh, God.
And I show up and I was like, oh, here we are. Here we are. I already know.
We're fish people now.
So, like, the first thing is, like, learning how to swim and swim fight, which the controls are not good.
No.
And I don't know how to describe it. It starts out bad and the controls get worse, which is a weird thing.
Yes.
Like, so, like, the way I found to, like, chase enemies down wasn't to learn how to, like, go up and down, because going up and down, you have to keep using the
Isn't, like, X and triangle on the face buttons?
It's square and circle. I have to hold up a controller.
Of course, it's square and circle, the ones that are left and right, not up and down.
Right. So square raises you, and circle lowers you.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts.
And this becomes worse later on.
Right.
This becomes worse.
And you're playing the remake, right?
Final mix 1.5 plus 2.5.
Yeah. So it's something they very distinctly did not fix in the remake.
Right. It's bad. So the way you actually fight, and this is the way I imagine everyone does it, is that you really heavily rely on the targeting system.
Yep.
Because
just
if you target, if you target something, you'll automatically swim to whichever direction the enemy is. So you don't have to putz around with the square and circle. Now, mind you, X is the attacking button. So you have square, circle, up and down, and X for the attack, and triangle, I imagine, if you have any sort of triggers or whatever you're doing. So, yes. And that was a nightmare to control. But you get... And the story is really stupid here, like really bad. I could complain about it all day long, but I don't think I need to, because I could complain about a lot of things. But, so you get through all this stuff, and you face off with what happens? Something happens with Ursula, and then she like retreats. Oh, I remember. You go to the castle, the Atlantic castle, and she shows up, and she's got the trident, and she pieces out, and I'm like, okay, we're on a chase. I exit out, and I'm like, where do I go? And I go into the next
question. Where do I go?
But where do I go? So I go into every zone, and I'm like, where am I going, though? Like, I don't understand. So I'm like, okay, let's since she's obviously not in any zone that I'm looking at, that I've been to, she has to be in a zone that I haven't been to.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so there's a tunnel here that I can't get through because the water keeps pushing me back, but the dolphins will never take me there. So I'm like, it has to be through there. So I spend about an hour trying to figure out how to get there, and I'm like, you know what? I guess I'm not supposed to go there. There must be something else I need to do. So I talk to the only NPCs I see, and like nothing's working. So I check every object and like anything.
Every nook and cranny.
Yes, I'm talking to everything. I'm talking to every little thing in this world, and still nothing. So I'm really frustrated, and I'm like, you know what? This is the same thing as that Tarzan situation where I'm clearly missing one piece of this puzzle, and I'm just I'm opening up a guide right now because I'm not gonna.
Some Kingdom Hearts BS. Let's get around it.
Right. So I open up a guide, and it says like, and even the guide didn't know this correctly. So the guide said that like this area that you have to be in, and it was like you need to touch this rock, and it's like you could kill this shark enemy that's swimming around in the area, or you can just like whatever. No, you have to kill that shark enemy.
Yep.
Maybe this isn't in the regular version, but if you don't kill that shark enemy, checking this wall does nothing. But killing that shark enemy on proud mode is really, really hard.
Ah, right.
So I killed the shark enemy twice in this game, like already. And it was a pain in the butt both times. So I was like, I'm not going to go and do that a third time while I'm trying to roam around and figure out what I need to do. But it's an absolute requirement. And there's nothing in the game that says you need to kill that random shark enemy in the zone and then check this wall. I checked that wall.
Right. Because otherwise it like scares away the dolphin to go down this hallway or something.
No! It's nothing to do with that.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with that. Like, nope. Like the thing is, like, Sebastian is all like, or there's like a little box menu that pops up that says something. This isn't the time for this. That's what pops up. It's like, now's not the time. And I'm like, well, when I see now's not the time, I think in my head, okay, this isn't like, I clearly need to come back here later.
Right.
So I leave that area and I go do something else, not knowing that it means like, we need to get rid of that shark and then you can check this. That is not what that sign told me.
Right. That's why I stop playing this game every time in this world.
So. So, and I thankfully, when I was editing this video, I was like, I'm not gonna put that frustration upon anybody who watches my Let's Play, because I was so mad at that point. I was flipping tables. I was
put
so
a little
angry
screen that says 45 minutes later and 1 table flip. That world sucks.
I freaked out on Twitter because I was so mad, and I needed to like let go some of that frustration out somewhere. And I was like, I'm going to Twitter. That's where I'm gonna scream it out on Twitter.
That's where I can be angry.
Anyways, so I do that, and then I get to the, I think so far, the worst boss fight. The worst boss fight in Kingdom Hearts so far, because I don't think I need to spoil who the big boss is of Atlantica.
For a 20-year-old movie.
if you're going to be upset about this, I'm really sorry, but you have to fight Giant Ursula.
Oh, right. Oh, that sucks. Blech.
So the other thing, so the controls, right. So why it gets worse is that Ariel teaches you to do a mermaid kick or mermaid swim or mermaid something or other. That basically is like a torpedo move of moving faster. So the control to do this tornado move is you have to press the square or circle multiple times or something like that. Or rather, if you push one and then the other. So like, let's say you were trying to go up and then you hit down. You automatically go into mermaid kick, which dives you forward.
Oh, right.
So then you have to fight. So then you have to fight Ursula.
Right.
Giant Ursula. And her hitbox isn't always there. And you would think something as big as Ursula's face...
Screen filling?
I was swinging my weapon through her face, and it was not registering hits. But the other thing is you're constantly being attacked by lightning bolt attacks or something.
Yeah, because her eels are there too, right?
No, that's the first version.
That's the first version. Okay, yeah. That also sucked.
Oh my god. I could have easily that one got so bad, but I don't want to talk about that one because that one's nothing on Giant Ursula.
Right.
Giant Ursula is firing like lightning bolts that happen every, 5 seconds. So like I know 5 seconds seems like a long time when you're doing a combo, but it's not.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant it automatically aims right where you're at, like every 5 seconds, and it deletes about a third of your HP every time it hits. And then she has like the I'm firing my laser beam thing that she does, that if you are not mermaid kicking and spamming and nearly destroying your thumb on trying to get away, you get hit from that. And what's awful about being hit from that is like when Sora gets hit by this laser beam, he gets stuck in this animation and gets hit again and then gets hit again and then gets hit again. Yeah. And if you're on proud mode, you might as well consider yourself dead after that hit.
Right.
Like, just set down the controller. You're about to do the whole fight over again. She's got 3 bars of HP. 3 full HP bars. And every time you hit her with your weapon, you're doing about 1/50th of one of those bars.
Yep. God, proud mode sucks. It's the worst.
So the other thing is that when I first started this game, I picked up magic and I throw away sword. Magic does like no damage to her, and you need to spend all of your magic on curing yourself because, oh boy, you cannot avoid damage. Yeah. I don't think it's possible. Maybe if you're like the best Kingdom Hearts player in the world and you have like the reflexes of a god.
You're speed runner.
But even then, the only way you could do it is if you only hit her like once, twice, and then back off. Like there's no way to. And then when she gets into her death throes, okay, so when she gets to her death throes and she's just like, all right, I'm done with this, she starts really spamming this attack that throws out lightning bolts all around her in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
So if you get caught in one of the lightning bolts, you are dead. You are dead because they're very likely you're going to get hit by 2 lightning bolts.
That fight sucks and proud mode sucks.
So,
and Kingdom Hearts sucks.
2 hours later, after typing out that I finally figured out how to get to this boss fight, 2 hours later, I respond on Twitter, I'm going to go lay down now.
Right.
So let's just imagine how long I had to do a single battle against Ursula.
Too long, Kingdom Hearts. Too long.
Far too long.
Yeah.
Far too long of a battle. So I was like, I need to set Kingdom Hearts down for a couple of days. And I need to calm down because I'm sure that this has to be the worst that Kingdom Hearts has to offer. Nothing can be worse than underwater controls that are frustrating. And sometimes when you're trying to just like move up and down, instead you move directly into the boss because you were trying to move up and down, and they're like, "Oh, you want a mermaid kick, right?"
Right.
I'm like, no. But you
shoot
can't,
right into the boss's face.
right? But like, someone would be like, "Well, why don't you just unequip mermaid kick?" You can't unequip mermaid kick because the firing my lasers will get you.
Right.
I tried to like slow swim that to see if like maybe if I slow swim, I'll just be just out of reach, and it's no. You have to have mermaid kick.
Yeah.
It's so bad that the lightning bolt firing my laser thing covers your screen. You actually can't see anything but a blinding orange light hitting your screen, like from my point of view. Like I see like this like it's like looking at the sun.
Yeah.
So that just frustrates me even more. Anyways, done with Kingdom Hearts conversation. I'm sure the next time I talk about it, it'll be happiness, but Atlantica sucks.
Yep.
Does it suck more than Tarzan? Pretty close. Tarzan was equally frustrating, but I think if I had like a guide up, I wouldn't have been mad at Tarzan.
Right.
Because it would have been like go here, go here, go here, go here, boom, get out. And I would have been fine with it. I would have been like, this place was weird, but I wouldn't have been mad. So last game I played that I remember is Steins Gate.
Hey.
What a happy game to play after you're really, really tired of Kingdom Hearts.
A much better game.
So it got to the part where things got I really can't say that it got weirder because it was already weird, but it got to a place where I was like, okay, we've hit the theme of the story, and the character hasn't realized what's going on, but because I read the chapter title, I know what's going on.
Right.
So, the thing that I don't get, it's really weird, is like there's so many weird little things happening that like even though I have an idea of what's going on, I don't quite understand how all of this is connecting.
Yeah, it hasn't like all come together yet.
Right. So like, we had the gel banana or gelbana.
Yeah, the gelbana stuff. Yeah.
Whatever. So we got to that, and I don't know. I'm so confused if like, so I think I've got at least Daru is the otaku friend.
The super hacker.
Yeah, the super hacker.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got him figured out. He seems like I understand him. I don't think there's any more layers to him than what I'm looking at.
Okay.
At least based on what I'm seeing. But what I'm really confused about, and this is the part that gets me. I also don't think that there's any more real layers to and I forgot her name again. No, Mayuri. I'm confused if there's more to her. Like if she's like actually smarter than she is.
She's just pretending, right?
Or if she's actually like, you know, she's really, 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 really this dumb.
Right.
Like that's like. Because it's possible that she's really stupid, but I also think it's equally possible that she could be using that as a front, that she understands what's going on and she's just playing the dumb. The main character is
Rentaro.
Rentaro or Kyoin Kyoma is really, I have to do it like that because that's how he always refers to himself. I met Lukoko or Luko.
Yeah.
Yeah, he calls him Lukoko.
The shrine priestess.
Yeah, the shrine priestess.
Yes.
I'm not too sure if like. See, this is the part where I'm like, what is politically correct? Because does the character refer to himself as a he or a she, so I don't know. I know that Rantaro, aka Hyoen Kyoma, wants to refer to him as a he.
Right.
Because he's repeated numerous times, as in like probably 8 times, insistence that this is a male that is in front of him.
Right.
Like over and over, and I'm like, are you trying to like stop yourself here? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Why do you have to that it's a he?
I remember that there's some reason that there is that insistence, but man, I don't remember the particulars.
Yeah. So.
And I definitely don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah. So Lukoko, it seems like an interesting character. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining that, like, I'm pretty much imagining that anybody who's got like a face portrait,
yes,
is important.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair for visual novels, where it's like, if you're voiced and you have like a full proper picture, like, yeah, you're probably around for a while.
Yeah. So when he pulled out his phone at one point, I think I saw the name on the phone list too, Lukoko.
Oh yeah.
So. Again, that's another... Oh, and that's the other thing that happened. There was like a message from Mayuri that I had to pick between 2 options. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, oh no, is that important? Well, is this gonna, like, is this determining things that I don't know yet?
So, like, most of them are, but you really don't have to worry about it, because once you get your first ending, you get the full endings list, and then you can start working on, like, just pull up a guide where it's like, all right, for that decision, pick this one, and then, you know, these decisions, pick these ones. It's basically like you're sort of currying favor for that character based on all your decisions. And there are some where it's a little maddening, and this is why I recommend everyone pull up a guide after you finish your first playthrough, is because there are some that you have to ignore when they call you or text you.
So that was another thing I found out. So like I for whatever reason, the last time I had recorded, I did not save. Why I didn't do that, I don't know. But I was fast forwarding to get to the part that I was at, and while I was fast forwarding, I heard the phone call or the message or whatever from Mayuri.
Your ringtone went off.
And I was like, oh, I'll just answer that in a bit. Let me just get to this part of the game where I was. And then I went to the answer section, and it was like, I opened up the message, and it was like, it was completely missed. It was like, you can't respond to these options. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Does that lead to something? And I was like, so then I had to reload my save again. And I was like, this time I'm going to...
Yeah, because I think there's a setting in the game where it stops when you get a something on your phone.
Yeah. Maybe I should turn that on.
Yeah, I always do, even if I'm going for other endings, because it's sort of like, that's, for me, is a good point where it's like, this is a decision, let me look at my guide, okay, I can ignore that one, I'll just fast forward to the next one.
I probably should, I'm going to turn that on, because I don't want to miss another option like that again.
Yeah. And there are sometimes you get phone calls, like, in the middle of, like, a stressful scene or, like, an action scene. And it's sort of like, oh my god, okay. Like, I don't... and, you know, you have to make the decision whether or not you're going to answer it.
Right.
Steins Gate is so good. How many hours are you through, do you think? Handful? Well, you're reading it for your Let's Play, so your time is a little inflated,
Yeah, basically every time, it's really hard to compare my time to, like, somebody who's actually just playing the game. They read the text, they move on. I'm reading all of the characters' voices out.
What chapter are you on? Do you remember?
I feel like I'm still on the first chapter. I'm somewhere after...
First chapter is very long.
It is very long. I'm at the part somewhere after being done with the whole Lukoko part with the with the whole demon's arm nonsense.
I forgot about that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to start watching her videos yet, but I'm excited for you to. That's a long game, but thankfully after you play it the first time, you'll only get the stuff you haven't seen.
Yeah. So I'm having a good time with it. I don't have any like real theories about anything other than I really feel that I guess I can't trust somebody like Mayuri's character, because I find it hard to, like, that's a hard sell on me, that a character can be that incredibly dumb and not have something else going on with them.
You have to assume it's a front, because, like,
Right.
Even in anime, there's not a character that's that dumb. Like, she is astoundingly, like, chewed bubblegum is smarter than her at times.
There's like the scene where, like, he's trying to convince Daru to eat the gelbanas, or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Gelbanas. And he's like, what? No, they look gross and disgusting. There's something wrong with them. They do.
It's like a banana. For someone that hasn't seen it, it's like a banana that someone put green Jello in, and it got warm, so it's sort of like oozing out. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. And so then, like, he goes to tell Mayuri to eat it, and Mayuri's like, I don't want to because they're squishy, they have bad taste, and like she starts like going in, she rattles off everything about it, and it's like, you've already tried it.
Right, you had to have eaten it. Like you know too much about this thing.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And so like already it's just like, what? Like, no human being would have looked at this and like, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna stick it in my mouth and see what it's like.
Well, and from a storyline perspective, what do they call the microwave they're messing around with?
The phone wave.
Phone wave.
Phone wave. Name not yet. Something or other. Like it's a
that's right, like name to be determined.
Name to be determined at a later date or something. It's such a long name, and every time I had to read it out, I was like, maybe I should like not say this whole line.
I think it also says something about her character that they're messing around with this microwave that they've like put a phone on it and they've like hooked it up to some other stuff. Don't eat anything that comes out of that thing. It's not going to be good for you. It's no longer a microwave. It's this like Frankenstein horrible death machine.
So the other thing is, and this is probably like, I'm probably wrong about this theory, but I already figured out that, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've already figured out that like, I think that machine is doing some sort of weird time thing, because when she put that frozen chicken in there, it became more frozen. And I was like, okay. And then when they put the banana in there, it became like a gelbana, or whatever, however it's pronounced.
However they pronounce it, it's a little weird. It's not a real word, so it's a little tough.
So, in my mind, I think it's like trying to go back to a state of time or whatever that it was before that state that it's in present. Right. So, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Like, why would a frozen chicken become more frozen? And I was like, maybe because it was in the freezer or something that it got more frozen. I don't know. But like, so that was my theory on that. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's the only thing I have to go with.
That's the exciting part I found about the beginning of Steins Gate is it's a very, I don't want to say it's slow, but it takes a lot of time in the world. Like they don't cut any text. They want to talk about stuff and they want to explore what these things are doing. So like you get so much time to create these theories where it's like, well, of course this is doing it. And then like 10 minutes later, they have another conversation where it's like, oh, we figured out what this thing's doing. It's doing this. It's like, oh, I didn't even, okay, cool. All right, it must be doing that. And it's like, you get enough time to kind of chew through all this stuff. And I think in Steins Gate's case, that works to its strength. And I think, what's the other game that I played? Chaos Child, that worked to its detriment. Because Steins Gate is really well written, and
it's
Chaos
really
Child
good.
is a little rough.
It's really good, and I feel like the character is really slow at figuring out something that like is pretty obvious to someone like me. Like the whole he shows up. Well, he sends a message to Daru, and that message or whatever. Like right then and there, everyone on the street that he was at is gone all of a sudden, and there's things that aren't right about like the scene.
Oh yeah, that scene was weird. Yeah.
And then everyone talks about how nobody should have been there on that day or whatever. Like everyone's just kind of like, yeah, what are you talking about? Nobody should have been here because XYZ. And he's like, that's impossible. I was at this thing, and that they were like, no, you weren't. No, you weren't. And so that's why I think that's also why I feel a little bit uneasy about like a couple of the ways Mayuri in particular acts, that I'm just kind of like, this is. But then again, she's already said weird stuff. Like,
yes.
Like the reason why she's hanging out with them is because she's the hostage or whatever. And I'm just like, what's wrong with your brain?
What are you saying?
But then, like, the part that I'm like, you should realize that something is wrong is when Daru shows him the fact that, like, he somehow sent a text message on a date that was before the date or after the date that he read it. So basically, he somehow got a text message from the main character from the future while in the past.
Like a couple of days in the future, yeah.
And I was like, how have you not figured out that something is...
Doesn't that seem weird to you?
How are you not figuring this out? Especially since you just went to a conference about time travel.
Right. I feel like that scene where Rintaro was on the street alone by himself, like that's where Steins Gate really started pulling me in. I was like, okay, this isn't just like an anime story. Like there's something really weird going on here.
It's really cool, and I can't wait to figure out what's going on. But I am like, come on, Rantaro, you're already a little nutty with your chuny behavior. So come on, like just you can do this, man. Yeah. We know that there's time travel stuff, and you can go crazy with that. I will let you run wild with your theories. The whole demon arm thing, though, you need to stop.
Yeah, that goes on for a little bit.
Oh no, he's gonna force that.
The thing about it is, and the thing I respect Steins Gate so much is it's a single encompassed story. So literally everything in it gets explained, including that.
Oh my gosh! Well, he already seems aware enough that he knows that this isn't a real thing happening.
Right, and he's like a little embarrassed about it.
And he's like forcing this person to go along with it.
Right.
And I'm just like, come on, just stop. We don't have to do this. It's fine though. It's funny. It's funny and it's fine, and I enjoy it. But I still look at him like, this is awful pranking on this poor person.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the last game I played. And Boston, go ahead and tell us what you played.
I don't have anything. I've been playing what feels like 15 Metroidvanias all at the same time, and the only RPG I've played is Destiny 2, and we already talked about that, and I don't want to belabor the point because on Tuesday Forsaken comes out, sort of the beginning of Destiny 2 Year 2, so I'm going to save up all my Destiny talk once all the cool new stuff is out. So, but we haven't been recording for super long, and we don't have a lot left here in the second segment, so let's sort of scooch right into the ending here and talk about RPG releases for September 2018. Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age, comes out on PS4 and PC. I am so excited for this to come out. I am really in the mood for like a super classic traditional Dragon Quest game, and it's coming. So I'm very excited. Mina, are you picking it up?
Yes. Based on reviews, it sounds like that's exactly what you're going to get. Yeah. The reviews I read were that it's not going to break the ground of what Dragon Quest game would be. It's literally going to be a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah, it's more like 8 and less like 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really
That's
good.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 comes out PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. This seems really good. I'm glad it's coming out on Switch because I feel like it will get it'll get a good audience there on that platform. There are not enough strategy RPGs on Switch yet. So 2 thumbs up for that. God Wars: The Complete Legend comes out on the Switch on the 4th. I get the impression this is God Wars, but they kind of wrapped everything up into it and kind of remastered a little bit, and it's the complete package here. So hopefully that's good. The Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep comes out for PC, OS X, and Linux on the 18th. A Kickstarter success, I believe. And yes,
hope it's good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this gets received because I'm hopeful that people that like me that never picked up Bard's Tale back in the day, this might be a revitalization of the series. That would be really nice.
It'd be cool. The combat is way different from anything else I've played. The closest I can think. Well, no, I can't even compare it to that. So never mind.
Yeah. Well, check in next month for Musum's impressions on Bard's Tale 4. Musum just added this list. Metal Max Xeno comes out on the PS4 on the 25th.
This is the Metal Saga franchise. They came out with a Metal Saga for PS2.
Right.
That game was a joke game. This game, I'm not sure if it's going to be a joke game. I hope it is. But like, it's a ridiculous game with dogs who have artillery on their backs.
Right, that one. Right. I'd hate to see them lose that. That would be great to keep.
I don't see how they can reuse all the weird enemies like the... can I talk about this enemy on this podcast? So there's a tank head that has two male legs coming down in it, and the male legs are wearing stockings with high heels.
Right. Japan.
I don't see how they can't reuse like those enemies and not have comedy elements in it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, The World Ends With You Final Remix comes out on the Switch on the 27th. If you haven't played The World Ends With You, play it. It's so good.
I haven't.
It's so good. I wholeheartedly recommend it, and for anybody that likes JRPGs at all.
Well, if I right now I'm juggling 7 games.
Yeah.
So it'll have to wait till one of these games is done.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Let's move on to a couple of quick news stories here. Cyberpunk 2077 got a huge trailer coming out this week. This is the gameplay reveal that was shown at E3 this past year. 48 straight minutes of gameplay. I haven't watched it yet because it's long.
I watched every single minute.
You did? How do you feel about it?
It looks freaking awesome. Like it looks a little bit more first-person shootery than I was expecting.
Okay.
But like when they walk out into the city and it's just packed with all these diverse-looking people.
I saw a clip of that and I was like, oh no, I'm even more excited.
Like, and they like take you through a whole quest and kind of point out the different points in the quest where you could have disagreed with things or maybe branch the quest off in some other direction. And they showed you a bit of the character creator, so I should warn people, this video is 100% not safe for work.
Yes.
There is definitely female nudity in it. I don't think... I think you get some guy butt in it, but I think that's the only male nudity you get in it.
Guy butt TM.
Yeah. But like at one point they have like a corpse on a table that's just kind of splayed open. And
oh, wow.
It's pretty gruesome, but it looks like a freaking awesome game. And like they said in the preview, like they don't they made very clear this early might change our mind on any of this, but right now they're intending to have a seamless world, so you're never going to see a loading screen in it.
Oh man, if only. Whew. At the very least, I would expect that on PC, maybe not on consoles.
Yeah. Well, and they showed like some car, like where she was driving a car, and it's like this cool like 80s cyberpunk looking dashboard where everything's not pretty LCD. It's that like hard like neon lines almost on
so cool.
All the instruments. Anyway, it's I am in. That game looks awesome.
Yeah, it's I want to say it's a disappointment that they haven't talked about a release date yet, but I know that they're just taking the time to make it really great. So it's one of the few companies where it's like, okay, like just whenever it comes out, I'll be ready to purchase it and play it on whatever platform I have available.
Yeah, that is the one thing where it's like, it's going to be like a year and a half from now before that thing comes out.
Yeah, like at a minimum.
No way we're going to get lucky enough that it comes out under a year. But
yeah, I feel we'll be lucky if they say fall 2020. I'll be like, oh, so soon? All right, yeah. So... something that was surprising here is the next news story. So, CD Projekt Red has been also working on Gwent, their sort of standalone, sort of multiplayer card game from the Witcher series. And they were planning on having it be multiplayer and have a single-player component to it as part of the whole package. Well, like they tend to do, things got a little big, so they're pulling out the single-player component into its own release. It'll be called Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. The the reason why they're pulling it out is it's now a 30-hour card-based RPG. so they're going to be charging for that, which makes sense. It doesn't sound like it'll be a huge amount of money, but they're sort of working those two games. Gwent as a standalone multiplayer thing is still happening, but then Thronebreaker is going to be this crazy, huge, pulled-out experience. So I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm also really excited about that because that just sounds kind of crazy in a way that I dig. Next news story here. I have to apologize. Diablo 3 is coming out on Switch. This is really great news that's just gonna destroy me. Like I need another platform to have Diablo 3 on, but it's Diablo 3, the expansion, and then the Necromancer stuff, and a bunch of Switch exclusive stuff. Like you can dress up as Ganon, and they have a chicken
crazy.
pet. Yeah,
that's exactly what you need to do, though, because there's no way. I'm the type of person who's I've already played it on. Well, if I were to pick up and play Diablo 3 right now, I just open up my PC version. But if you can lure me in with crazy, silly stuff like that, you have a chance, a higher chance.
They pulled me in with the chicken pet from Zelda, and I was like, oh, that's really good. That's a really good choice. Yeah. So, sorry about that, everyone. It's the day we have been worried about comes at some point this fall. And last but not least, Etrian Odyssey Nexus is coming west in February. This is Etrian Odyssey X in Japan. This is what Atlas has been calling the 6th and final Etrian Odyssey game. They are sticking to their guns and saying, hey man, when the 3DS is done, there are no more Etrian Odyssey games. So get in while the getting's good.
Weird.
Yeah, like I'm sort of two minds, because I sort of don't believe them because it's Atlas.
The thing is that like every Etrian Odyssey fan that I know of that's like a hardcore Etrian Odyssey fan, they love those games, and that game, they only love the EO version the most. Because anybody who tries to like make that type of old school dungeon crawler, they just don't like as much as EO.
Yeah,
so,
like they don't get all the parts right.
So I feel like if Atlas really does go, yeah, we're not going to make any more of that, that is a huge market that somebody out there needs to like jump on and take that.
I wonder if part of it is just Atlas is thinking, man, the 3DS is kind of over at this point. Yeah. And that is really the platform that enabled that type of game.
For them, it's definitely ramping down. For a lot of other publishers, I think it's still pretty alive and well.
If they feel that way, I really wish that they would make Persona Q2 on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the tough part for them is Q1 was on 3DS, and the install base for 3DS is so huge that if you come out with Q2, like 13 million people are like, oh, sure, I could potentially buy. Obviously, they're not going to sell that many, but
I want it on the Switch.
I know. I it's going to be really interesting to see. Atlas is so late to so many platforms for their real hardcore support. I'm curious to see if in 3 years do they come out with a version of Persona Q1 and 2 remastered for the Switch as sort of a bundle. To me that makes a bunch of sense, but to me also it makes a bunch of sense for them to sort of draw a line in the sand with Etrian Odyssey and say, like, look, this was a title that took advantage of the 3DS, the nature of the platform inherently, and I think it's probably about time for them to take a bit of a break, because they've, especially here in North America, they've been dumping Etrian Odyssey titles like crazy between this and the remakes and Persona Q and the Etrian Odyssey, whatever other remake. I think I actually have it sitting here. Yeah, Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon, the cartridge right here. We've had so many titles. It'd be nice if we could get a couple of years off before they say, like, Etrian Odyssey Switch! Yeah! They'll find a way to do it, but
I'd be down if they did an Etrian Odyssey collection for Switch.
That'd be great. Etrian's Odyssey games are so good, and like I feel like if you like that subgenre, them saying like here's 7 games on one cart, you're like, okay, I'll play all of those again. I'm ready to do it. So I don't know.
I just wish that they would make a version for the Switch, or say that it's a possibility in the future or something, because I know too many people who have already are done with the 3DS, and I'm just like, no, don't be. Listen, Persona Q1 didn't get enough love. Don't do this to the Q2, okay, man? Because I love this. I love it.
I mean, they gotta know what they're going into, though, with that. Like, they gotta, like, Atlas has to know that people still playing 3DS is a niche audience at this point, right? Well, especially if they own a Switch.
They're also working on SMT for Switch, their next big SMT flagship title. So, maybe once they get that under their belt and they get their Switch production pipeline down, then there is a possibility for, we took that engine and we changed it up a little bit, and here's an Etrian Odyssey for Switch. That sort of
It's also like, we got Persona 5 on PS4 and Xbox One, right? Or did it come out for Xbox One?
No, PS3 and PS4.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah.
Sony has a lockdown on the Persona series. They have like some sort of contract that they're abiding by.
But what about Persona Q?
So that's an Etrian Odyssey game though to them.
Right. And is the new Catherine remake coming out on Xbox One? Because it came out on 360.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Persona Fighter games were on Xbox.
That's true. I
think when it comes, that was also ArcSys less than, not so much. True. That was under ArcSys, but also like
so many twists and turns.
I think like when it comes to like the Persona mainline, like Sony really doesn't want them to budge and like go any other direction other than themselves. They must buy out that thing because that makes them sell consoles and that makes them get numbers.
And I think for a traditional JRPG for Atlas, the juice isn't worth the squeeze to put it on a Microsoft platform. Like if for Persona 6, it might be worthwhile putting it PC, PS4, and Switch.
I'm hoping
you could see those 3.
I'm hoping PC.
Yeah. Just I
believe.
Keep in mind, like Sega, owns Atlas now, and they're pretty pro all the like I know I'm usually the big Sony defender, but like I just remember when Persona 5 came out and we got like 2 seconds of Igor in the freaking E3 session and like about the equivalent of that and the fall thing, and it's like, do they really does Sony really care about that much about keeping that franchise locked them, or is that just like a Japanese company staying with a Japanese company?
It seems like they care the most about doing that. That was the whole reason why they agreed to being with Sega in the first point, was because they knew that they would be allowed to keep the whole, we're allowed to put these games on Sega or Sony and we're allowed to put these games on Nintendo. Like they wanted to still have that because Sony and Nintendo put down way more money to buy out Atlas than Sega did. Sega put up, we don't know the specific numbers, but we know that Sega was not the highest bidder. Right. But Atlas was like, we want to go with Sega because Sega said that, you can keep everything's yours. Everything's Atlas. You just keep being Atlas. You're just now part of Sega. Right. So that was why Atlas wanted to do that, because Sony and Nintendo both were like, no, you make games only for us.
Right, lock it down.
You drop all of that Nintendo stuff. You are no longer going to do any of that other stuff. And like that was like Atlas was like, no deal. No deal.
That's not going to work for Persona. Like it's only coming out on Switch. SMT can be a little bit of a different selling point because that's a subgenre of a subgenre. But imagine Persona not coming out on PS4 or anything like that. Like that's
it blows people's minds.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know about the other bids. That's interesting.
There were a lot of people who bid for Atlas.
Atlas is a juicy company to get. They have a very loyal fan base.
Always green too. Their numbers have always been solid. It was Index and every other part of that whole thing that was like in the red. And Atlas was just printing money. Like they were just printing money, and every other company could see that like Atlas put something out. And Atlas knows exactly how much money to invest into a product because they're like, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to want this niche game. But if we put this much effort into it, we'll make some money, you know? Yep. That's how Atlas operated. And every company was like, we could get green if we just
we get those guys.
That, right?
Yeah. All right, well, that's all of our news stories for this month and our episode for this month. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Musum, where can we find you?
You can get my music at musum.bandcamp.com, also on iTunes, Amazon, and Spotify and all that stuff. And I think that's it now.
All right, Mina, how about you?
You can watch me on twitch.tv, Mina Co-Rocket, or on YouTube, Mina Co-Rocket. You can also find me on Mobile Mina. Check out my Let's Play channel if you can, because I am running like 6-7 different games at a time. So hopefully there's like a game out there that I'm playing that you'll enjoy. And Boston?
You can find me at e1m1.com for all my podcasts. Thank you very much, both you guys, for joining me yet again.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And our adventures continue next month.